Welcome to Gracefully Graying. I'm your host, attorney Henry Gornbein. Today on this video podcast, remotely being done through Zoom, I'm pleased to welcome as my guest, Emilie Amador, the owner of AE HomeCare. Emilie, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. First of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and your background?
Okay, absolutely. I was born and raised here in Michigan in West Bloomfield, and I've been in home care since 2006. Attended Eastern Michigan University, but this is not what I went to school for. I moved out to Las Vegas, Nevada in 2006 to learn more about this particular company. My father was involved and had purchased and partnered with a company called All Valley Home Care, which is what this began as. And it over the years, it's I've learned the business, done the marketing, the administration, bookkeeping, operations, and I've acquired the company, came back home, and now we're AE HomeCare.
And you are the head of it. How large is it?
Well, we are a company of around 105 employees right now. So it's in the middle. I mean, there's companies like us that have hundreds and hundreds of employees, but we're very happy with our size, and we have 5 full-time employees here in the office, myself included, and the rest are our field staff.
Tell us what AE HomeCare does. Give us a broad overview for our viewers.
AE HomeCare is a caregiving service. We provide non-medical services to our clients, whether they be elderly or disabled. Some of them are not either. They just require services for whatever reason they might feel they would like a caregiver to come in. So we provide the cooking, cleaning, bathing, dressing, grooming, transportation, companionship. We can take clients to the doctor, pick them up from appointments, stay with them overnight in the hospitals during surgery. Really, at the end of the day, we consider ourselves extended family.
I wish you use those words. It sounds like your extended family. Exactly.
Yes, that's what we like to come in and help out in that way. That's the feel that we want to give our clientele.
What prompted you to get into this? Because you said earlier that when you went to Eastern Michigan University, you did not train for this. So.
I didn't. So my father fell in love with this kind of company, and I started to work for him as a caregiver. I worked as many hours as I possibly could, and I fell in love with taking care of people. It was so rewarding. It was on my time, my schedule, but I got to go in and make a difference in somebody's life. And I left, and you sleep really well at night doing this kind of work. I'll tell you that. So it almost becomes where you don't really I didn't see myself doing anything else.
So this is not only your avocation, but it's your passion. And it's
absolutely
true right now.
Yes.
What happens with a prospective client? Why don't you take us through, let's say I'm calling and I'm saying I'm seeking home care. Well, it's interesting. My stepmother is 99 and she still lives independently. So everyone has different needs. So you receive a call. What happens?
Okay. I received a call yesterday. So here's a good example. The gentleman is looking for somebody to come in and help with his brother. So his brother will be leaving an assisted living in a couple weeks, which I commend, because right now assisted livings are kind of a breeding ground for very toxic for this virus that we're dealing with. So his brother's going to be coming home, and he's just inquiring. So when someone's looking for home care, we usually go through, have they ever had this before? Because some people have a little bit misconception regarding nursing and home care. There's home health, which would provide nursing services, CNAs that requires a doctor's prescription. And then there's home care, whereas you can call me and we can work on a private contract basis. We're a Class B agency, like I said, which that means we're non-medical. So we can come in and anything that, like I described before, is non-invasive, all the custodial care, we can help out. So we'll go over that. We'll talk about skill set, needs, diagnoses, whether or not the client is cognitive or ambulatory, because I'm trying to get a very good understanding of the kind of caregiver that would best fit this particular person. And from there, we would set up a meeting.
Now, you said set up a meeting. If we were talking 2-3 months ago, you'd be
Right.
meeting personally. So how are you doing the meetings now under this stay-at-home order based upon the coronavirus?
Correct. Very good question. So because we're considered an essential business, that does allow me to go to a client's home with permission, wearing all the proper PPE equipment, so personal protection equipment, masks, gloves, hand sanitizers, anything I have, and have a one-on-one meeting according to the state mandate. And it's all regarding whether or not the client is comfortable with that. So if the client is comfortable, then I can go ahead and do those things and meet with the client. If a client decides they're not comfortable, which I have had people just request, everything can be done via email with the contracts. And I can just get the best assessment possible regarding, I have to go over a home safety evaluation. So I would walk them through the questions I would ask if I were in the home.
Give us some of the questions that people should ask or you would be asking if you were in the home.
So regarding home safety assessments, you're going to ask things about assisted devices, commodes, handlebars, rugs on the floor, fire extinguishers, whether or not there are handrails on bed, and if they need these items as well. You want to make sure that you can connect the client with a DME company that can provide these items for them if they need it. My job is to make sure that my caregiver can take care of this client safely and make the best suggestions and guidance. So that would be the questions I'd ask regarding a home safety evaluation.
Now, Emilie, you do a lot of, most of your clients are in homes, but what about those in hospitals? Do you also have clientele who are actually in the hospitals as we speak?
And yes, and well, we have a couple. So unfortunately in this business, because of the nature of my business, it's a revolving door. We will have clients that go in every couple of months for, acute bladder infections or diabetes or things like that, and then they come out. If they're in the hospital and regarding or depending on whether or not they are a Medicaid patient or a private pay patient, so that will depict whether or not we can help them out in the hospital. If it's a Medicaid patient where Medicaid is paying for their caregiving services, we cannot go and provide services for them. If the client is paying privately, we are allowed to go into the hospital. Not now during this pandemic, I should say. But yes, we can assist people even if they're in the hospital.
What about your work in assisted living facilities? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we used to be able to go in and out of assisted livings quite easily. And in fact, we have many, many clients in assisted livings, also in senior apartments as well. So right now, during this pandemic, the clients that we have had are allowing our caregivers to continue services with the screen safety checks, the CDC guidelines, all of the PPP or PPE provided to them by us. So our caregivers are continuing to provide services to those clients in the assisted livings, but we cannot obtain new clientele at this time.
So you're kind of caught. In other words, as we spoke before we started the show, you're having new clients but a lot of the clients you can't service fully. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, it is. It's a very correct statement. And our referrals and our clients come from a couple different avenues. Like I said, one being Medicaid and another being Google, hospitals, just, people calling, looking for services. If we have a client that really is in need of service right now, our process is we email all the paperwork. We will do orientation. So right now, what some of our vendors are suggesting to clients is if you need caregiving services, have a family member get hired on with an agency like ourselves. So that way you're staying within the mandate and you're not allowing somebody who you don't know very well to come in your home. So we will do the orientation via Zoom and all the paperwork online and hire a family member to take care of the client in the home and just send all the paperwork via email and through the mail without even seeing either in face-to-face.
Emilie, you're dealing with hospitals, you're dealing with people who are aging in place, and you're dealing with assisted living facilities. How do you coordinate all these various facilities and services?
I've done it for so long that it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem that difficult. So, we have contacts in all of these different areas. Everybody in my office, every department is wonderful at what they do. They're Johnny on the spot. So if somebody needs a caregiver or new client paperwork or continuing education, my staff and myself, we get everything handled right away. I mean, it's not, as far as coordinating it, it's on a daily basis without the current situation, it's very, very smooth. We've had some hiccups and we've had to adjust how we do things right now. But everybody's been very easy to work with.
Emilie, you deal with families, and families can be difficult. I mean, in the legal arena, often you have situations where one family member will say this is best, another family will say this is best, and sometimes you may become not only the focal point for caregiving, but the focal point for trying to mediate between family members. Does this happen often?
I wouldn't say often, but it definitely happens. We have clients now, and we've had inquiries and clients that when you first get a phone call from a client, it's usually the children calling for mom and dad.
Sure.
So yeah. With that being said, I've had the brother in Florida wants mom to have services right away here, where the daughter who lives around the corner doesn't think it's necessary immediately. And it's a lot of follow-up. It's a lot of getting everybody kind of on the same page over time. So we can get a phone call April 1st, and then services might not start till July, because during that time frame, you're talking it through, you're going through assessments, family members are all getting on the same page and seeing that maybe mom or dad does need something, whether it's full-time or just part-time care. Something is better than nothing.
You work with hospice as well?
Yes, we do. We absolutely do.
Because what I've learned through gracefully graying is often someone will go into hospice, their meds are reduced, and all of a sudden they start feeling better, and a few months later they're out of hospice. So you hear these stories as well.
Yeah, I have. Hospice is something that I've actually personally had a lot of involvement in when I was a caregiver. And when we get the call for a client in hospice, many times, if it doesn't work out the way that you're saying, and we're looking at the other spectrum of it, some clients, family members have an understanding that hospice is going to be there 24/7 to help them out. And unfortunately, the way that the orders are written and what Medicare pays for is you call hospice if you need medication and if there's an emergency. But other than that, a bath aide, a CNA will come in once a day for 15 to 45 minutes. But then there's the other 23 hours out of the day. And that's where we come in.
Emilie, are you involved with guardians?
Yeah, we are.
And what about the courts? I know mental health and physical health are often a large part of probate court dockets. I don't know if you're involved, or basically, I guess some of the guardians or your clients would be involved in that aspect.
Yes. Power of attorney and guardians. We need all of that paperwork. If somebody claims that they're the power of attorney and have advanced directives and the medical directives over this particular person, then we require all of that paperwork. I don't personally, nor does anybody in my staff, go to court or has had to deal with the courts. We leave that up to the family members and the guardians.
How much interaction do you have with the actual clients?
Well, personally, I have not as much as my other staff. Home care agencies typically consist of client care coordinators, or what they call schedulers. These are the people who take most and all of the calls for shifts. So if a client needs a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at noon for 3 hours, or if the caregiver's got to switch a time frame. So my client care coordinators have 100% contact with my clientele on a daily basis. We also do something called client call-throughs. So every single week, we are touching base with every single caregiver, every single client, documenting, how are you? How are you feeling? Is everything working okay with your caregiver? Is there anything going on with you? And many times you find out a lot of information that if you didn't call, you wouldn't have known, because, not everybody thinks to pick up the phone and call their home care agency to let them know what's going on. My personal involvement is meeting the client, taking on the intake assessments, and doing the pickups along with my client care coordinators.
That's interesting. As we're speaking now with everyone kind of staying at home, it seems like interaction from your care coordinators is that much more important, for the simple reason that, especially those who are isolated and can't leave their homes, they need human contact more than ever.
I absolutely agree with you. And in fact, I had a call from one of my clients specifically just to talk to me and just to tell me how happy she is with everything that's going on with her caregiver. And she's so happy to see her every day. So I think that we provide a service outside of just the basic homemaking personal care. Now with the isolation with a lot of our elderly, I think that we provide something even more. And I think though that my caregivers have always been appreciated in that respect to my clients, but now that it's tenfold for them.
Emilie, there's clearly been an impact based upon our pandemic. What changes have you made in your operations or how you're handling things based upon what we're going through currently?
Significant changes, to be honest. And I'll tell you, my staff and I, every single day, we have a 1:00 conference call. And I miss my staff. I miss seeing them every day and having that interaction. Our office hours have changed. The way we interact with our caregivers has changed. We're now, if a caregiver needs any of our equipment, gloves, masks, hand sanitizer, or timesheets or anything to that effect, we have to pack bags for them and we have to leave them on hooks outside of our door to prevent that, and that interaction that we can't have right now. My human resource department is doing all orientation and recruiting via Zoom and email. So hiring somebody that you physically have never seen is a totally new thing for us.
World.
Yeah, we have to do training via Zoom and make sure that everybody is getting all their paperwork signed. Everything is just, the contact has been almost completely gone.
What about the risks to those who are one-on-one with your clients? I'm
Yeah.
thinking people who come in cooking meals, who do driving. Well, driving, I guess, is out, but they're probably picking up and delivering food. So there are a lot of issues with regard to contact. How is that being handled?
So we are recommending, and we speak to our caregivers or send them reminders every day or weekly to follow the CDC guidelines. We stay abreast of any changes that have been, made on a daily basis and make sure that they get those communications from us. We are providing all of the masks, all of the gloves. We have plenty of hand sanitizer. When this went down, I went to a company, my nurse actually had a contact from a company that decided they're making hand sanitizer, and we picked up almost 2,000 ounces of it.
Wow.
So we made sure we were providing. I just wanted to make sure I keep my staff as safe as possible. And at this point, at 2 months into this, I'm very happy and proud to say, and I may have told you this yesterday, that not one of my caregivers has contacted any virus. We have had 2 clients that have tested positive, and but that's it. And they are quarantined and doing okay. However, my caregivers have been very, very safe so far.
That's a wonderful track record. I mean, something you should be proud of based
I
upon
am.
everything going on around us.
I know.
Do you deal much with bureaucracies, either government agencies or other bureaucracies?
Yes. Yes.
How is that?
Our so Area Agency on Aging, 1B, is one of our largest vendors. That is the Medicaid agency that people hear of. They provide many different wonderful services for clients. Anything from like what we do, personal care services, homemaking services, meals. So our involvement with them is very large, and we have a great relationship. And they've provided us with some personal protection equipment on a weekly basis, which I'm grateful for as well. We keep contact with their support coordinators that handle assessments of our clients and so forth and so forth. So they are our biggest vendor. And, as far as the bureaucracy and red tape and all of that stuff, I've done this, like I said, for so many years. It's not a big deal anymore. Now, somebody opening up a home care agency and wanting to go through the application and learning how to navigate through that sort of agency, it would be probably a little overwhelming. But I've done this in 4 states, and so we have a great relationship. That's our biggest vendor.
You said are you in more than one state?
I've worked. So I worked in California, I worked in Colorado, I've worked in Las Vegas, all doing this for different agencies. I've done consulting, I've visited other agencies. So I've seen it from private pay to long-term care insurance to Medicaid in different states and how they function. So I've done it in many different ways.
Emilie, your company is strictly local, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was trying to clarify. But you've had a lot of experience, many years of experience, it seems.
Yeah, I have.
What do you find what do you see in the future moving forward? Do you see changes in how your services are going to be delivered? I mean, hopefully we're going to get out of this pandemic soon, but no one really knows for sure. So if you had a crystal ball, what could you tell our viewers?
I believe that services like ours will always be a need for home care. And I think that as time goes on, pandemics or not, that the elderly community is going to continue to need time and going to need caregivers to come in and take care of them. I don't see home care agencies or our industry taking any major declination, I guess I should say. We're not going to be declining in any way. I think we're going to just keep growing and helping the community.
Well, you're more and more important because statistically here in Michigan, over 50% of our population is 50 and over. So we're one of the more aging states, for lack of a better word.
Yes.
What do you find most rewarding about your career?
I think I mentioned it before, helping people, getting that phone call, knowing that, Mr. and Mrs., client A and client B have been taken care of today. They had healthy meals, they had companionship, their clothes are cleaned, and they're doing well. And I think that that's really the most rewarding thing about this sort of business. And I think in my opinion in life is just being there for your community and helping people and, giving everybody your best every day. Making a difference is very important to my staff, myself and my staff.
Emilie, any frustrations?
Sure. Yeah. So, yeah, like any industry, there's a lot of turnover with caregivers. Caregivers are wonderful people and they do just a fantastic job, and they don't get enough credit, and they don't get paid enough. So, we do our best here, just like all these other agencies. But the frustration I think that myself and all agencies deal with, and I know this from speaking to many people in this industry, the caregiver turnover. Caregivers have kids, they have lives, they have cars that break down. Unfortunately, what that means is my staff is restaffing, rescheduling, finding another person to take the place so client A and client B still get services. We have days where everything is very, very smooth. And then you have days where it kind of goes, you're on the phone constantly. So,
Right.
And you're getting in your car and, I tell my staff, myself and them included, all we are is glorified caregivers behind a desk. Because at the end of the day, we're going to help that person if there's an issue. So, and they know that.
Emilie, we're down to less than a minute of our show. What are some final thoughts you would like to share with our viewers before we sign off?
I think my final thoughts. I think this was very informative. I'm very glad that I am able to share what we do on your website and with the community. Home care is an ever-growing business, and I'm educating people on what we do is very important to me. It's something that it can be frustrating for the 50-year-old, daughter or son, and I'm here to help. And if you have any questions, I probably have the answers to most of them. And if I don't, I always find them for you. So,
Emilie Amador, AE HomeCare, we are out of time. I want to thank you so much for being my guest on Gracefully Graying. And I want to thank our viewers for watching Gracefully Graying.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure having you as my guest.